Okay, now before we begin, let me get this out of the way right off the bat. I am a moron. And if you've been following me for long enough, you know I am incredibly capable of making incredibly stupid decisions from time to time, and I am human, so I keep making those decisions. And you'd think I would learn, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. I would like to think I'm a better person for admitting when I make a big stupid decision, but it doesn't stop me from making them, does it? So, here's where my brain was last week. Because last Saturday, I recorded a vlog that got entitled Patreon May Save My Family, which is already just red flag bad, but in whatever state my brain was in, nothing was wrong with that. Because at the time when I recorded that vlog, what I thought was happening was I thought my dad was about to lose his job. And if that were to happen, that would have put us about 2 months or so before we wouldn't be able to afford the house anymore. So when I recorded that video, I was scared, I was panicking, I was desperate. I thought I had to do whatever it took to save my family, or to at least help my family and get us by a little bit longer by any means necessary. And in some eyes that's noble, and in other eyes it's pathetic, because it's not the way to approach it, and it's not the way of handling that kind of issue. But, at the time I was scared for my family, and I didn't think I had enough time for another solution. Because, okay, what are the other solutions? And I know I caught a lot of flack for two reasons, and this confused me. Because, A, I was begging for money instead of selling toys. I'm pretty sure that even in my screwed up head state, I did say I was selling toys. In fact, on Monday, I'm expecting about 50 extra boxes from the post office because I was expecting to sell a lot more toys than I was originally planning to. And the other one was, well, he shouldn't be begging for money, he should be looking for work. I did that too, and I'm pretty sure I stated that in the last vlog as well. The trick here is, this is Florida. In Florida, every job, every workplace around here is seasonal. When everything gets frozen up north, a bunch of snowbirds move south for the winter where it's still kind of warm for them, and every job opens up. There's a whole bunch of hirings, and there's to handle all the extra people and the tourists and all the extra money going around. And then when season's up and it starts warming up here again, everyone heads off north, and a lot of people get fired. And the only gaps that places have left in their roster get filled by the people they picked up during season that didn't suck. We just finished season around here, which means nobody is hiring. It's hard enough to find a job in any place right now, let alone when every place just completely filled up. There's a CVS 3 minutes from here that almost always has a hiring sign in the window, and my mom knows most of the staff. They wouldn't take an application. No place. And I think when I recorded that video, something in the back of my head was thinking that, because I know how season works around here. I know how hard jobs are to find. I didn't think I had time to find one. I was going to try, but I was not putting hopes on it. And in the end of the day, I wasn't putting hopes just on the Patreon either. I was trying all of these things at the same time. In fact, there was more that I was trying that I didn't even explain. There are, apparently, found this out, thank you to the fan who pointed this out, there are state programs that will allow me to get paid through my grandmother's Medicaid in order to take care of her in the way I do already as a live-in caregiver. Never knew that was even possible. I wish I knew that years ago, because it would have solved a lot of issues over the years. So, that was something I was looking into as well, and I'm still looking into it. But all of this fear and all of this panic stemmed from the fact that I thought my dad was imminently about to become unemployed, and I didn't think I had any time to find any other solution. You know, I led with the Patreon because it was the fastest solution I could think of. And I posted that video on Monday. Tuesday, I learn his job's fine. Everything is fine. His job, plans change his shop. His job is not going anywhere. He's gainfully employed for the foreseeable future. Everything is going to be fine here. My family does not need saving. Everything, everything is going to get paid. I even get to keep my toy budget. It's basically from 1 month ago to now, everything is exactly the same. So, again, I am a panic button pushing moron. I am deeply sorry if I worried anybody. I'm really sorry if anyone felt misled. It was not my intention. I honestly thought it was D-Day in this house. And it is embarrassing. I went back and watched that video, and it was embarrassing. Yes, I caught a lot of flack for it, but I took it down just because the video is not. If I had rewatched it on Monday, I would not have posted that video because I don't know where my head was when I recorded it. You could tell watching it. I was just like breaking down. Like something in my head said, express why this is important, express why this is the option you are taking and why you're resorting to it. And at one point, it just breaks down into begging. And it's absolutely pathetic. And it's the absolute wrong way of approaching it. And I should be better than that. There really isn't any excuse for breaking down that point. You can say, yes, okay, you were scared and you thought you had to save your family. A lot of people would have done the same thing in that position. It doesn't make it right, okay? Now, I did catch a lot of flack and a lot of criticism over that decision. Not all of it unexpected. Nobody starts a Patreon, even in the best of, mine was started with the best of intentions in the absolute worst way I possibly could. But nobody starts a Patreon peacefully. Even Linkara, nicest guy I've ever talked to. Really cool guy. Just funny and nice and cool. And incidentally a fan of my work. But that aside, and talking, I've never heard a bad thing about the guy. But when he started Patreon, he caught the exact same flack. E-begging, go find a real job. And you look at his body of work, he produces a TV-length, fully scripted, fully edited video of his own, sometimes with storylines and heavy effects. You can't tell me that is not work. To produce it week in, week out for years, you can't tell me that's not work. And I'm not comparing what I do, these stupid little toy reviews of mine. But, the point is, even even someone like that caught a lot of hell for starting a Patreon. And I kind of knew I would too. And the way I went about it, I did invite a lot more than necessary. Some of it I feel unwarranted because, like I said, I was getting criticized for things that I was, for not doing things that I really was doing. And a lot of it, and there's also a lot of it that comes from, misunderstandings around here. Because, when you tell someone you are a full-time caregiver of someone who is bedridden or physically incapable of taking care of themselves, mentally, a lot of people will come to, well, you take them 3 meals a day and check in to make sure they're still breathing once in a while. That's not how it works, and God, I wish it was that easy. Just to get, this is unless you've done it yourself, you do not know how physically difficult it is to take care of someone, a fully grown person, who is completely incapable of helping themselves in any way. You know, my grandmother at her age, in her condition, can't even sit up on her own to take her medicine in the morning and at night. Most days, nights, I have to deadlift her off the bed into a sitting position just to get a few pills into her. Let alone, imagine everything you have to do to care for yourself, to keep yourself clean, to keep yourself fed and healthy and happy, and then imagine having to have someone else do that for you at all times. It is far more difficult than most would give it credit for, and unless you've done it, you really don't understand just how difficult that is. That was one of the few good things that came of that video. Is, for years, like, I've been so silent about how I live my life because it does fall into that, you know, unemployed, living at home geek stereotype. But I did have people like messaging me and saying, well, yeah, they had to take care of their family members that way, and it went on for years, and the experiences and all the turmoil and difficulties and mental anguish that comes with it was, relatable to them because they went through it too. And that meant the world to me. It was like, okay, this is a really weird situation in life to be in. And I thought, like, who else would be stuck like that the way I am? And a few people were, and they seemed to come out of it just fine, and aside from just like not feeling alone, it does kind of give you hope, and that's one of the it's one of the few times I've had that little bit of hope. So for that, I appreciate everyone who related stories like that. I genuinely appreciate it. That said, the life I live is not the life I've chosen for myself. This is the life that I have this is the life my family has asked me to take on because no one else in my family is capable of doing it. This was, I said in the last vlog, I'm going to repeat a few things here since the last one went away as soon as I realized how bad of a mistake it was. 8 years ago, I had that normal, like, the life that society accepts. Living, away from home, 40 hours a week. I had that. It was a loser dead-end job, but it brought in money, just enough to get by. I was in an apartment with an asshole of a roommate, but at least I wasn't at home. But then I get a call that says, well, your grandmother's not doing well. We need you to come home and take care of her. See, I grew up in a small town where all of my family was within 10 minutes of me. And when you grow up, in a large family, because my grandmother had, several kids. Her kids had several kids, and and then there's, all the siblings on my dad's side too, and all of their, so I have, I have nieces and nephews, cousins, uncles, aunts all over, and all so nearby. So it's a very tight-knit family, very close, just just very, just a very tight family. And when you live like that, when you have that much family around you, you are taught from childhood that family comes first. Because no matter what, your family, that's your blood, that's, those are the people in your life you can't ever replace. So when my family needs me, okay, that's what they need. My family needs me, they come first. And, admittedly, I was probably about, less than a year of having to move back home anyway, because it really was not going well for me in the first place. Just to get away from Ian. Just to get away from Ian. And that alone might have been made a little bit more worth it. But, that's what my family needed of me. That's what I did. And it does not mean that I endeavor to be this toy-grubbing man-child at home for the rest of my life. I look for other ways out. I've tried for years to find other ways out. We've never found it. I thought I had it last year. Last year, my grandmother had been bedridden for about a month, and then my mom lost her job. And you think the same thing I thought in that moment. Well, she's here now. She can do all of that. She can take over for me, and I can go off and do, like, have that life again. Try and find an apartment to move out, 40 hours a week, normal adulthood. But it's never a question of me. If I wanted to take the selfish way out, 8 years ago I could have said, well, this is your problem, not mine. I have my own life to handle, so you've got to figure out how to do it without me. And if I had taken that decision, most likely my grandmother would be dead, my mom would be crippled, and my family would be 1,500 miles away by now. And I would not be able to sleep at night knowing I had the power to prevent those things, and I chose not to. Just because, I wanted to keep living this little struggle of a life I had at the time. So, yeah, I moved back home and, been here since. And last year I thought I had a way out. 7 years. 7 years I thought the only way I get to have my freedom, the only way I get to have my life back is for my grandmother to lose her life. And it is a thought that has put dread in me every single day for 7 years to that point. And it's the thought I go to bed with, the thought I wake up at night with, the thought I wake up in the morning with. Is that I go to bed thinking tomorrow she might not be there when I wake up. And I get out of bed thinking when I check in on her, she might be gone. And that's every night, every morning, and it's horrifying to go through. There are times I would pay any price just so I don't have to experience that anymore. But that price is her life. And as I know, and one day I'm going to be forced to pay that price. But as long as I don't have to, I refuse to. Because ultimately, I cannot do that to her. And it is agonizing to go through that, knowing it is a losing battle. One day she's not going to be here, in spite of my best efforts. It's just not going to go. But for now, she's happy. She's with us. She talks. She reads her books. She watches her Price is Right in the morning, and she is still active in the family. She and I still have all this family, not only in the house, but all these aunts and uncles and cousins and everything that depend on me to do what I do. I thought I had a way out last year when my mom went out of work. But the question wasn't, am I done? Can I leave? The question was, what does my family need me to do? So the question was, do you need me to go to work instead? Now that you are out of work, do you need me to take 40 hours a week to keep the roof over our heads? The answer was no. She needed me here to take care of my grandmother. And you might wonder why. What could I do that she couldn't? Well, you haven't seen the days I have. This is a woman who needs multiple shots in her knee per year just to walk without pain, and most days she still does. You haven't seen the days where she can't even walk through the house, or she nearly crumples to the ground because her knee's in so much pain. You haven't seen the days where the herniated discs in her back are hurting her so much she can't even get out of bed. And she'll spend days like that sometimes. Her health problems prevent her from doing most of the physical things that are required of me to do around here for my grandmother, for my family in general. And she's been told by a doctor as recently as this month, if she didn't have the help, she'd be crippled by now. It's doing, just to do what she does for my grandmother puts that much of a physical toll on her, and I'm still doing more of the physical labor than she is. Again, if you've never done it, you don't know how hard it is. So it is not like I haven't tried to get out of this life. It is not a life I've chosen. It is a life that is chosen for me because my family needs me to do it. And if they need it from me, I do it. Bottom line. So yeah, Uh, that's all, those were all the thoughts going through my head. And yeah, there's a lot, I did catch a lot of criticism that I felt was unwarranted. It felt like it came from a place where a lot of people took other people's opinions for fact, and not, people were criticizing me for things that I said I was doing, and I didn't understand it. I don't understand the mindset in the first place. Here's this person who's scared for his family, thinks he's going to lose his home, and is so desperate that he's going, that he's begging for help. Let's kick him while he's down. It's not a mindset I care to understand. But, that's the internet, right? You open your, as soon as you make yourself public on the internet, you open yourself up to criticism, whether it's, educated criticism or not. The one criticism I did catch, and there is one that I actually did agree with, and that one you didn't have to watch the video to actually get across and be right about, and that is it's not right of me to ask you people out there to solve my problems for me. I wanted to start the Patreon to kind of help my family, and instead I was begging for people to help me, and that was the wrong approach, and I deeply apologize for that. I should be a bigger man than that. If problems come up, I should be able to handle it myself. To that end, even though things are going to be fine around here, and everything is still going to be just the way they've always been, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. As long as I have all those boxes showing up on Monday, I am going to put a bunch more toys on eBay. And it would be stupid not to fully investigate these live-in caregiver programs, because if that'll pull in, money like an actual job doing what I'm doing already, there's no reason not to. And rather than solve a crisis that I think is imminent, we'll squirrel it away. And if something like that does happen, I will be completely prepared, and I will be able to handle it myself. I will not have to resort to begging, so hopefully, it does, will it stop the criticism? No, because that's how the internet works, and a lot of the places I caught flack from really didn't like me to begin with, and that's how the internet works too. So, all of that said, that leaves me with, a Patreon account that was started with the best of intentions in all the wrong ways. And what do I do with it? Because, at this point, it's been started. Damage done, right? Well, the decision for what to do with the Patreon came twofold. And it starts the same place a lot of decisions. If it affects my, because, the whole point of the Patreon was to help my family. So the first say in it goes to my family. And, their decision was, okay, the people giving you a hard time aren't your fans. They are not your fans. They are not your friends. What they say does not matter. Keep going. Go through, at this point, go through with it. Because to them, it is not e-begging. To some people, even people watching this, it will never be anything more than e-begging. I get that. I understand. I've seen it many times. But the way the way my family's minds work is not the same way, because they aren't as attached to the internet. See, I'm going to tell you this, and you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but I swear to God, this is what happened. See, Saturday, when I recorded the stupid vlog that I was an idiot for making, and Monday, when I posted the stupid vlog I was an idiot for posting, on Sunday I had a discussion with my mother, and one of the things she brought up in said discussion was, could you ask all of your fans to send you $1 each. This will tell you where my mind was Saturday when it was all taking place internally, in whatever panic-induced mindset I was in, versus the next day when the thought was external, coming from someone else. Because my answer was, that's not how the internet works. I would get lynched. Which is pretty much what happened anyway. And that will tell you how screwed up I was on... That'll tell you how screwed up I was on Saturday. But that's not an idea my mother comes up with on her own. No, that idea originates from my aunt. My aunt is executive vice president, big business type. You know, this is a woman who commands like a 6-figure salary most of the time. You know, it is a, you know, and in her business mind, you know, it is not e-begging. It is monetizing TJOmega as a brand. It is having TJ pull in money instead of TJ's products. You know, and that's the business way of approaching what what something like Patreon is. You know, basically, you know, like turning me into a subscription service, which is not exactly what I had in mind. But when you float something like that to my mother, you know, she takes the mother approach. You know, she takes the mother stance on it because she wants to see her son do as well as he possibly can. You know, and she has seen the things that most of you haven't seen. Like, she's seen how much money has gone into everything it has taken to create this YouTube channel and get as far as I have, from cameras and microphones, batteries and memory cards and hard drives and backup hard drives and lights and all these supplies it takes to keep this going, not to mention the toys that I have to get for reviewing. All of it, you know, she's seen how much money I have dumped into it over the years to provide entertainment completely for free. And she thinks that, you know, in her mind, I deserve to make anything I can off of what I do. So, you know, she comes from the mother's point of, she wants to see me do as well as I can, because she's mom. So, since it affected them, I gave them a say in it. Ultimately, who I thought should have the biggest say in the fate of the Patreon were my patrons, everyone who signed up as a result of that first video. Now, as soon as I found out my dad's job was perfectly fine and my family was not in danger and everything would be okay around here, I made a post to all my patrons, you know, letting them know basically what I told everyone here in the first part of this vlog. And I added this: if you somehow feel like you were misled or deceived in any way, if you feel like, you know, this knowledge changes what you want to pledge, or if you want to pledge at all, then please change your pledge or cancel it outright. Because it was not my intention to mislead anybody, and I do not want to take any money that was pledged in that mindset. Which is absolutely true. Like, so the decision was, you know, if it went down, like if half the patrons pulled out, or the pledges got cut in half, or, you know, basically if it went low enough to the point where I can make up the difference from eBay sales or just putting out more videos, then I just canceled the whole thing outright. So I left its fate to their decision. As of this recording, the pledge total has gone down by a whole $10. And considering I really don't deserve the support, considering the way I asked for it, I am sincerely grateful for everyone who wanted to stick around and help me out and find enough value in what it is I do to contribute to it so that it can grow farther. So that said, here's what the Patreon is now. I've gone back and I've edited through it. I've taken out everything about saving my family, since I was a jackass for making it about that in the first place. Now it is. While I would still like the while I would still like the extra money to go to my family, because the fact of the matter is, video reviews and video production does not pay what it used to. Like, I don't know if it's because ad blockers have become so much more common, or advertisers aren't paying what they used to, or maybe, or it might be because ad blocks, the ads get blocked so much that the ads aren't as valuable anymore, and they pay out less as a result. I don't understand the business end of it, but whatever it is, everyone doing this online video thing is struggling a lot more than they used to. Even even guys, I've heard stories of, like, even people on major sites, like even people using Blip, are not making what they used to. And some of those people counted on that to, some of those people did count on that money to pay bills, to live where they live. So that, that was, so that sucked to hear about. And for a long time I heard stories like that, and I thought I was immune, because I'll be honest, I never did too bad on videos. Considering just this stupid little toy review show I do, you've seen my walls, you've seen some of the stuff I reviewed. Clearly, I wasn't doing all that bad on it. Well, a few months ago, that changed, which is why so many of my toys started hitting eBay. I'm trying to make up for the money I would normally be giving to my family. In the last year especially, since my mom is not working, my family gets most of my YouTube revenue. I get enough to keep buying toys, because new toys is how new viewers find my channel and how my channel grows. So there is a business to covering new toys, which is why I do things like the Drive Driver, like as fat, like the first day I actually get it from Japan, because that's a new toy. When it's hot, people find it in searches. They like what I do. They stick around to see what else I do. That's how you grow an audience. So there is a business to spending money on toys. But that all said, while I do still have a toy budget, most of the money I pull from YouTube goes into my family. And since the revenue just isn't what it used to be, a lot of my toys have ended up on eBay, and a lot more will still end up on eBay. But I would still like to provide more, because it is expensive taking care of someone who 98 years old, bedridden, with that many health problems. It is expensive. So I would still like to provide more. So for the Patreon, I took out all of the language about saving my family, and we have made it strictly about growing and expanding and achieving more. Yes, the money still goes to my family, but we will reach a point where it will start investing back into what it is I do, and we will be able to grow and expand this. For instance, you probably noticed my lighting rig is not all that great. There are basic things that I need just to make the show look better and present better. And then there are the goals. I originally set a $500 goal for a video game review series. And, and I actually did hit that, like, within the first 24 hours, which absolutely shocked me. Now keep in mind, that might have changed at this point, because for some of the people who pitched in for the Patreon, this might be the first time they're hearing of everything is going to be okay here. So I might check this in a day, and the total is just, I don't know. We will see. And again, if that happens, I will hold to my word and just shut the whole thing down. But for now, it seems like I did hit that goal. So at the very least, regardless, since I did hit that goal, I started working on the first episode of TJ versus VG, The gameplay is recorded. My audio is recorded. A lot of the graphics and logos have been picked out. I've got an intro to do, and yeah, you'll probably be seeing that in April. Now it's going to be rough because it is my first time out, and it'll, as I get to do more, if I get to do more, it'll grow, it'll change, and it'll become much more polished as we go on. So, at the very least, you will get the pilot episode. Let's call it a pilot episode for now. And hopefully you'll be getting that soon whenever I can put together the introduction for it. The top goal, originally the top goal was like 1,500. We dropped that to 1,000 where the Save My Family goal was. And that is for a full-sized gaming channel. Because, I don't get much free time. I mean, most of my day is spent with my family, taking care of my grandmother, and in between, in between things she needs, I'll type out a script or I'll edit something. When I get done with this, I'm gonna work on more of the Toycember and April scripts. And as you are watching this, I'll probably be watching WrestleMania 31 while you're watching this. Right after that, I've got a 3-hour broadcast, a live podcast recording to review that show. As soon as that's off the air, I will be recording the next 3 random reviews for next week, and then with whatever time and energy I have left, I will continue to work on Toycember scripts because I made a few last-minute decisions to the assortment for that month, for next month. So I gave myself a little bit more work on top of 43 videos in 1 month. So when I have free time, I am a gamer. I have a lot of stuff from Steam sales. Let's put it that way. But a gaming channel does require certain investments. Recording HD footage is a ton of space. So we're talking terabytes of hard drive space, talking extra backup drives for finished episodes and assets so I don't lose anything. We are talking beefed up video card, beefed up RAM, because playing in HD and recording in HD at the same time, extremely taxing. Webcam, because I know a lot of Let's Players use webcams these days. I do not own one. Capture card. If I want to play anything on a console, I'm gonna need, I need a capture card so I can share that footage with you as well. There are many investments to make, even to things like I don't own a PS4 or an Xbox One, so if anyone wants to see games from that, I'm perfectly willing to buy the games myself. I will have to invest, but I need the hardware to play the games in the first place. So, a lot of, it's not just like booting up an emulator and playing a bunch of pirated games. To put a proper channel on is an enormous investment to start up. So, if I'm going to do that, if I make that goal, I want to do it properly, and I want to make it something that actually could be worth watching and be worth investing time in. So that's what the Patreon's about now. How this affects things from here on out. And here's how it's going to go. My family does not need saving. I do not need you to use this. I talked about it because it is a necessary evil. And I think even YouTube knows that, because now YouTube has kind of this tip jar function. And the reason I'm not using that is because it's kind of a pain in the ass to set up. Patreon's just more common and easier to do. So, I very much, now, from here on out, I very much view Patreon as a tip jar. If you want to use it, if what I do has value to you and you want to see it expand, you want to see it grow, and you want to help me out, then the links will be there. There's a link on the front page of my channel where the Big Bad Toy Store button used to be. Video reviews from here on out will have a link in the description and at the end bumper of all of my reviews. And that is it. I will never... This is probably the last video, unless there's a major update or something. This is going to be the last video that I will even mention the word Patreon on camera. You know, it will not be intrusive to the reviews I post. You know, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. It will affect your viewing experience of me in absolutely no way, shape, or form. You know, and if you just don't like Patreon or consider it e-begging, it does not affect you in any way. You know, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. It's as simple as that. But I do appreciate anyone who does want to pitch in and does want to see what I do grow and expand and see how far we can take it. And that's where, that's where I think the Patreon's a little bit more appropriate than what I was doing. Yes, it's going to help my family, but in the long run, overall, it will help me as well. And hopefully with things less stressful around here, I can get back to all the things I keep promising. But we have to get through April's slog first, because that's a lot of videos to post. On top of probably posting TJ versus VG in April. On top of probably a Masterpiece Star Saber review in April, because a lot of people want me to review that toy, because I'm the Star Saber guy. So, so again, if you are one of my patrons, and getting hard to talk here because I'm going for 40 minutes now. If you are one of my patrons and you are sticking by me, I do appreciate it greatly. If you want to contribute, even if it is just a couple bucks a month, I genuinely appreciate that just as much, and I will try to be worth it. You know, I know there's people out there like, I'll use them as an example, but I don't like to. Spoonie, who has a patron, pulls like almost 5,000 a month from it, and posts like one video a month. And I understand he's been moving lately. He's got a lot of things that he's been stressing out over too, because life sucks all across the board sometimes. But you know, I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So you'll notice if you missed the announcement in the last video, random review is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the foreseeable future, for as long as I'm running the Patreon, for as long as I'm on a YouTube channel. That is not going to change. I'll be doing at least 3 videos a week. That's 12 or 13 videos a month minimum. So if you do choose to support, that is my promise to you, that if you choose to support me, it will not be for a dead channel. You will always be getting content from me. So I think that's about all I can say, because you've been listening to me for way too long at this point. As stated, I do have a lot to get back to. The last thing I will say is, even to this point, you know, even if the decision is to keep the Patreon, I'm still ultimately not a fan of the service. And you know, if I can find work that still allows me to be here when I am needed here, I will take it down. You know, if I can get signed up for this in-home caregiver thing and it pulls in enough money, I will take it down. If I get to have my normal life, I will take it down. But if that happens, the Patreon will be the least of my concerns, as you are now well aware. So, but for now, as I said, it's something of a necessary evil. You know, at least until, I don't know, hopefully this is just a phase and revenue picks up again. But for now, it is what it is. If you want to use it, it's there. If you don't want to use it, it affects you in no way whatsoever. And from here on out, I'm going to keep busy. I've got Toycember to do. I've got 3 more random reviews to pick out. And I have promises to my patrons to keep. So I'm going to get back to work on that. Again, I am deeply sorry if I worried anybody, and I am sorry for the way I came across. I'm promising you guys right now, I'm not going to sink to that level anymore. If a problem comes up like that, if it really does come to that, I will be the bigger man. I will do, I will not beg. I will face it. I will handle my own problems. But until then, it is, my viewers and me against the world. So we're gonna keep at it. And so I will see you guys in the next video. And I just realized I stole a Markiplier line out of nowhere. So maybe I'm already getting into my gaming channel head. We'll see.